cannot see it. You cannot hear it. But you know it is there, watching, waiting until the time is right for you to face your fear and listen to the Deep Dive Podcast Horror Month 2022.
Ooh, I'm scared. Help me.
That was like a little Vincent Price there, kind of at the end.
Yeah, it actually is Vincent Price. Oddly enough, I found online the actual recording session for Thriller
Yep.
without any music or anything.
Okay.
So I took part of his laugh and then, fiddled with it. And
So you found like isolated vocals and audio? That's cool.
A little homage there, but with a little
That's
twist.
nice.
Little twist.
A little twist. I love that.
Yeah, I like it too. It's pretty cool.
Spooky.
Spooky. All right. So, welcome and hello, divers. How are you? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Good. So glad you're with us.
I know.
I'm Tom Feeney, writer for Wang Shot Movie Magazine, and joining me here in Studio D, where the D stands for demons.
Decapitated.
Or delicious. Well, I don't know about that. Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
This is the Magnificent Mandalorian.
That's me.
Hello, Amanda.
Hello.
How are you today?
I am wonderful. You know, it's that special time of year, especially if you live in New England where the weather can change on the turn of a dime.
Yes.
It feels like, October's hit and now suddenly we're into the freezing weather.
Yes, but you know what? It always fools us because at some point during
Yeah.
this month, it's going to heat up again.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still wearing sandals, so.
Yeah, so you don't really know. You haven't put away your summer clothes yet, but you're trying to get out some of the fall clothes, and you don't know.
It's for all the newbies and the normies, it's pumpkin spice season. For the rest of us, it's spooky Halloween horror month season.
Yes.
Dun dun dun.
That's correct.
Yes.
And also like apple cider.
Apple cider donuts.
Apple cider donuts. Oh, my
So good.
I love it.
This is not a podcast about our favorite foods, although
Yeah, that's an idea.
it's an idea.
Gee, I wonder if anybody's done a food podcast before.
Wonder
I'll have to look into that.
I wonder if there are any like podcast factoids that we could throw out there.
Oh, man.
We didn't have any of those.
Actually, I do have some podcast
Ooh.
factoids, and this is something I found that actually made me feel better about our little dog and pony show. So apparently, now people will tell you that there are like millions of podcasts out there, and technically,
I mean, I guess there are.
there are.
Yeah.
Exactly. However, 90% of podcasts do not get past episode 3.
What episode are we on?
142.
Oh,
There
okay.
you go. Now, out of the ones left after that, 90% of those will quit after 20 episodes. And how many are we?
142.
There you go. See that? So to be in the top 1% of podcasts in the world, you only need to publish 21 episodes or more.
Deo.
See that? So
Deo.
we can say that we are 1%ers. Officially.
No.
Well, I mean, in that particular...
In that regard, we're
In
top
that
one.
regard.
I'd like to say,
Yes.
a huge shout out to all our fans in South Korea.
Yes.
There's BTS, right? There's Gangnam Style. There's Squid Games. And then there's the Deep Dive Podcast.
Yes.
And we are so appreciative to be amongst your plethora of entertainment. So thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. We really do appreciate you listening. And if you are listening here from South Korea, we would love for you to contact us.
Yes.
Because I really love the snacks they have there and would love to get a care package.
Oh, my goodness.
Not that I'm asking, just throwing it out there. Just that's it.
But, it would be fun to hear from anybody outside of our own country of residence.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool. You know what else is really cool?
What?
T-shirts.
T-shirts. We should get some of those.
That's right. We should get some of those. In fact,
Ooh.
if you go to our Instagram page, our little Instagram thing, and you go to our bio, there is a link there to our link tree.
We have a link tree.
We do. We have a link tree that has all of our links, including to our merchandise and our upcoming OnlyFans account.
No.
We'll talk later. So check it out. We have actually 2 brand new t-shirts. We have the new Halloween Horror Month, which features our new character, Mr. Marrow.
Ah, yes.
And he will be featured in some of our advertisements as well. And also, something a little whimsical that I just threw out there. It is a t-shirt that is inspired by the 50-year-old TV show, The Partridge Family. For some reason. I don't know why.
I mean, honestly, you see a lot of those kind of t-shirts. I'm glad that we finally have one.
I love it. So, yes, check it out. They are reasonably priced, and I can guarantee you that they are, in fact, t-shirts.
And they are comfortable, because I did buy some for myself.
There you go. See that? So do I. And, honestly, we're probably most of the only people that buy them right now. But, hey,
True.
that's fine.
But honestly, wouldn't you like to have limited edition? Everyone loves limited edition things.
That's right. Can you imagine the look on somebody's face 10 years from now when they stumble across one of our shirts at a Savers?
Oh.
Think about that.
Or on eBay, when we're super huge, part of that 1% podcast family celebrities.
I like yours better.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Savers thing seems kind of sad.
Yeah.
All right. So, anyway, back to the good stuff.
I know you've all been patiently waiting, and so have we, actually.
Yes.
Because this is like our favorite time of the year every year.
It is. And we're celebrating here in Studio D. It's a special time.
It is.
We just got the carpets cleaned. The rat problem seems to have subsided for now.
COVID's still a thing.
Yeah, but our landlord never came back from his trip to the Congo, so that's good news for us.
Well, it sounds like a plot of a movie.
Yeah, maybe. But we're celebrating because it's the beginning of season 5
Holy cannoli.
of the Deep Dive podcast. Thank
Holy
you
cannoli.
very much. Thank you. Please sit down.
Some applause.
Yes, thank you. Our first episode, or rather, I'm sorry, our second episode, as the first will never see the light of day, was posted back on November 5th, 2018.
I can't even get over that.
Think of a different world that it was back then. It was
I was
pre-COVID,
so much younger.
pre-insurrection. I was employed.
Pre-Trump.
Yeah, those were the days. Absolutely. Here we are 4 years and 142 episodes later.
Wow.
Thank you, everybody. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thanks.
All right, very good then.
Okay.
So this is also, as we have stated, our 3rd Halloween Horror Month. Mm-hmm. And these episodes are actually some of our most widely listened to.
Oh, yes.
As history says for our program. So, we would like very much for you to continue this journey
Yes.
with us, especially throughout the rest of this month, because we got some fun stuff.
This is a special time, too. We release an episode every week.
Yes.
Every single week.
Every single week is
You're gonna have a new package filled of horror-filled love. Like a cupcake that's gone bad.
like a red velvet cupcake where the red is actually blood.
Oh, good.
Like a dead velvet cake.
Oh, okay. You top the cake with that.
Oh, I'm patenting that.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't steal it, please.
Episode 1, which is right now that we're recording, the beginning of October, and then of course we'll have we've got some other episodes coming up, but they're each got their own flavor and their own design. So if you're thinking it's just going to be a standard, talk about horror movies, you're wrong. 'Cause
No.
I think every year we surprise and delight our many 3 fans.
We do.
And,
We do.
and we shake it up a bit, just like this episode.
Yes. I'm shaking right now because I have palsy. No, it's not true. So what is our topic for this week?
Our topic is household horrors. Things come to life that are normally not alive. Dun, dun, dun.
That's correct, yes, and not good for anybody involved.
You know something? When I was thinking about this episode, a couple of fun facts sort of flew my way. Speaking of numbers, as we just talked about our podcast, there are around 1.14 billion websites in the world.
Ooh,
Yep.
that's a lot.
Now, only 17 or so are active, right? So that's nowhere near a billion. But about 2% of those 17% are dedicated to household items and how you can purchase them at their cheapest.
Oh.
So more mom blogs, coupon things. Pinterest. It's all that. But 2% of a billion is still 2 million. That's 2 million websites, GeoCities, Angel Fires dedicated to your blenders.
Wait, GeoCities, is it still around?
Oh, I don't know. But do you know what I mean? Isn't that nuts?
It is nuts, but I'm not surprised.
Neither am I. I would hate to know the number of websites dedicated to other things like weird taxidermies. Just nah. Nope. You take your finger off the Google machine.
No. See, that's so there's a place because my daughter Katie really loves like weird taxidermy stuff.
What?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Well, she's your kid, so it makes sense.
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on her. But yeah, there's this place we like to go to called Mill Number 5.
Oh yes.
And
the
they
apothecary.
they have a great store that has lots of like little weird little taxidermy stuff.
And they have a movie theater.
Great movie theater, the
and
Luna.
a really amazing coffee shop.
Yes, coffee and cotton. And they also have they have an old timey soda fountain that just reopened.
Oh, nice.
And it's so cool.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a great place. So if you're
live in-
anywhere,
yeah.
if you live in New England, check it out. Look it up. Mill Number 5. It's
Not
fantastic.
sponsored.
Nope, but I wish we
Could be.
or actually do a live show from there. We would like that.
Something that reminds me, because it's sort of old timey, right? Have you ever seen Fiesta ware?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Isn't it cool? It's like kind of these brightly colored plates that they serve like American tacos on.
Yeah.
That kind of thing,
I
right?
think I actually have some of those plates.
Right. But Fiesta ware was a popular dishware. I mean, it's still popular, but it kind of became more popular in the mid 20th century, right? But did you know that much of the early productions were radioactive due to a glaze which contained uranium? And if uranium sounds familiar, well, maybe you're thinking of good old Mary Curie, who... Well, basically, she was radiated from the inside out because she was testing with uranium. By the way, first woman to win a Nobel Prize.
Yeah, she got a glowing review.
That was good. Yeah. But yeah, can you believe it? Now, the reason why I know this is because I like to watch a lot of thrift videos on YouTube, and some people like to go to Savers, like we mentioned, and buy old things. But some people will bring lead tests, and they'll bring these like black lights to try and find uranium glass and whatnot.
Like on purpose?
Like on purpose, yes. It's a big thing. I mean, you don't want to eat off of it, but you can collect it. But I thought it was crazy that, like, even 50 years ago, we're still talking about plates that could kill us.
It's very interesting.
Post Chernobyl.
Yes, but there are so many common household items
That could kill you.
For example, and I'm just totally off the cuff with this.
Yeah. That wasn't a setup at all.
No. Household plants. Did you know that?
Well, I do know that around Christmas I have to be careful what I get.
Well, mistletoe can be poisonous.
Poinsettias.
Yes. Also, things like daffodils, irises,
No.
lily of the valley,
Didn't know that.
ivy.
I didn't know
that?
about the ivy. Nope.
Yeah, they
Nope,
contain toxins or dangerous chemicals even. Because they're there to protect themselves from insects and animals and even humans.
Yeah.
So you got to be very, very careful, especially if you've got kids or pets running around. Sometimes household plants can be very dangerous.
Cats like to eat plants.
They kind of do. My cat likes to eat plastic. I don't know.
Oh, God, mine too.
So another thing, if you have a gas range in your home, carbon monoxide poisoning is no joke.
Oh, no.
It is the leading cause of poisoning death, and it comes from your gas oven, your car, your space heater, charcoal grills being left on for too
Refrigerator.
long. I don't know about
AC,
that.
maybe?
I don't know. AC's later. I got that later for a different reason. So make sure that you have, like a carbon monoxide monitor in your home.
Oh, yeah. Super cheap at Walmart. Pick them up.
Yeah. Here's one that you may not have thought of. Extension cords.
What do you mean?
Not only are extension cords a serious tripping hazard, but they cause over 3,300 residential fires per year.
Because they blow up?
Because they're overloaded.
Oh, because they're meant
Yep.
to be temporary.
Yes, they're meant to be
Okay.
temporary, so just something else. And here's a weird one. Here's one that that when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, that makes sense, but not for the reason I thought. Electric blankets.
Yeah, you burn up.
So not necessarily from them catching fire, but people have died from heat stroke because they fell asleep and the blankets were at too high a setting.
Wow.
Yes.
That's terrifying.
It is terrifying. My goodness. There's things like hot tubs and swimming pools, also dangerous. Not for
Yeah.
drowning, but because of
Burned?
cryptosporidium, which is a chlorine-resistant parasite.
Gets up into your nose and like in the brain-eating section.
Yep. So if and it's caused by swimmers with diarrhea or leaky bladders.
Should never pee in the pool.
Exactly. So you got to be careful with that. Dryer lint.
What?
Failing to remove lint from the dryer is the leading cause of about 3,000 dryers per year. Fires per year, which results in about 100 injuries and an average of 5 deaths a year.
Jeez.
So clean your lint filters.
I did hear one fact that said toasters kill more people than shark attacks. I believe that's accurate.
Well, I mean, if you throw a toaster in the water, it's going to shock somebody. I mean, really.
It's electrifying.
Oh, you meant sharks, not shocks. Oh,
yeah, sharks.
Sorry, I thought you had that, again, the New England accent. Shocks.
Sharks.
I got shocks here in the water. Yeah, terrible. Okay, pain medicine. Household common item, right?
Take it too much, I guess.
Anything with acetaminophen.
Aspirin.
You get Tylenol, you got Excedrin, Pamprin, Midol, Mucinex.
Paracetamol. I have a gripe with Midol. Okay, it's just marketed to women. It's the same thing. Go take yourself an ibuprofen.
Okay.
I mean, I could do a whole episode about that. But anyways, so what do you mean that they expire and you don't?
No, it's overdoses. You should not consume more than 3,000 milligrams per day.
That's probably according to CDC, I imagine.
I would think so. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anthony Fauci. Nicely done.
Oh, he's retiring soon, or has already retired.
Yeah, it's a poor man.
Yeah.
And so put upon.
Oh, I love him.
Toothpaste is another one.
What?
Yes. It's right on the label. Seek immediate medical help if you ingest toothpaste.
I've been ingesting small amounts of it for like 40 years.
That's okay. But if you do too much, the overdose can cause stomach pain and intestinal blockage.
Let me rewind that. I'm not 40. Close to. Intestinal blockage, but at least you'd be minty clean from the inside out.
Yep. I mean, but yes, that's true. You want to be minty fresh. You want your intestines to be minty fresh. But
Oh man.
if the toothpaste has fluoride in it, it's worse.
Oh really?
Because you can have convulsions, you can have difficulty breathing, it can even induce a heart attack.
Oh my god, I'm terrified
Too much
now.
toothpaste.
I am terrified.
Now, air conditioners, as you mentioned before.
Yes, the fluoride, not fluoride.
There is refrigerant, like Freon.
Yeah, Freon, that's what it was. Yeah.
That can leak.
Yep.
It can cause heart palpitations, seizures, can cut off oxygen into your lungs and your cells. However, mostly it's people who are in the appliance repair business that are at risk. So not usually the average person.
Yeah, that must be a dying trade these days.
Yeah.
You can just get them on Amazon.
This is true. Now, finally, and this one surprised me, your flat screen TV can kill you.
Because it can fall on you.
It can. So, this happens with children.
Yeah.
So...
Same with bureaus, I imagine.
Oddly enough, the average per year of kids being injured by a flat screen TV falling on them is about 17,000.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
No, that's like one kid every 30 minutes. So where are the parents?
Help. My LCD panel fell on me.
I mean,
oh god,
talk about being blues.
Oh,
no, that's bad. So
anyways, have you caught on to the theme yet? The theme here is household horror. So
That's
things
right.
that can kill you in your home that you didn't expect them to. And there's a surprising number of videos and movies that deal with this very topic.
This is true. So, mind if I go first?
No, please.
All right. So, I made my first pick for household horrors based on the clever ways that several household items are used as murder weapons. Yeah. So my first pick is the 1981 near classic slasher movie Happy Birthday to Me.
Hi, Virginia. Hi.
Poor Virginia. Just when the rich young snobs at Crawford High condescended to come to her birthday party, they're all being murdered in the most bizarre ways imaginable.
Oh, please help me.
At the rate they're going, there'll be nobody left to go to her birthday party alive. Because of the bizarre nature of this birthday party, no one will be seated during the last 10 minutes of Happy Birthday to Me. Pray you're not invited.
Rated R. Now playing at a theater near you.
So, okay.
I'm sorry. What? That was the most amazing trailer I've
Yes.
ever heard.
Now, I'm sorry, but if you're only showing up to the movie for the last 10 minutes, you shouldn't be seated anyway, by the way. That's dumb.
No, that's how you get to watch a movie twice over. You sneak into the next theater.
Yeah, I mean, Lord knows I've done that. But anyway, happy birthday to me.
Thank you. It was about a month ago.
Oh, yeah, well, you're welcome. So the film actually built its entire marketing campaign on the inventive kills that it depicts. So the birthday girl in question is Ginny. She's, a popular girl. She's in her senior year at a Richie Rich private high school. She's played by Melissa Sue Anderson, who is best known as a child actor on Little House on the Prairie.
Oh.
So she happens to be one of the top 10, a group of elite students. And of course, they are pretty much awful pricks. They do whatever they want and they get away with it, but Ginny has had some mental issues.
She was Mary Ingalls.
Yes.
Mary Ingalls.
Yes.
Who went blind and
Yep.
then was not blind anymore.
Yes, I don't know how that works, but
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So in the movie, she had years before undergone some experimental brain surgery years after an accident, right? So she has some memory loss and some blackouts,
Yeah.
So as her 18th birthday approaches, members of this top 10 clique begin dying under pretty bizarre circumstances. So, for example, one guy is strangled as he's working on a motorcycle, the end of his woolen scarf is thrown into the moving rear wheel, which tightens the scarf
Oh, that's terrifying.
so tightly around his neck that it nearly decapitates him. Yeah. Another guy who's sort of the jock of the group, he is killed while bench pressing weights in the school gym.
Of course.
So as he's trying to lift these weights, which, he needs help with, and there's somebody in the room with him that he knows. He's like, come on, can you help me out here? But instead of helping him out, the killer grabs a free weight, throws it on his jock, his private parts. And so the guy drops the barbell on his neck, crushing his windpipe.
So he basically kills himself.
Kind of.
Yeah.
So, but he's trying to lift this, but the other guy in the room, or the other person, the killer,
Right.
drops a weight on his junk, and then he goes, "Eh."
Right. Okay.
So, yeah, it's pretty gross.
Ugh.
Yeah. So, another one has an unfortunate encounter with a shish kebab down the throat.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. So, as you're watching this, the movie seems to be pretty straightforward. We know early on that Ginny is committing these murders during her blackouts, right? We even see her carrying out some of these murders. But all is not what it seems. Everything climaxes at Ginny's birthday party. There's a cake and everything, but for some reason, none of the guests sitting around the table are hungry because they're all dead.
Ooh.
Did Ginny kill them all?
She must have.
Yes and no.
Oh.
There's a twist at the end, and one that kind of doesn't make much sense. It seems a little bit less than credible, but it's a pretty big twist. So it's kind of worth it just for those last 10 minutes at the birthday party, so to speak.
Right.
And the thing about Happy Birthday to Me, it was a Canadian film, but it was really well made. It was not a cheapy throwaway slasher movie. The director, who is named J. Lee Thompson, also made the original Cape Fear, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, among a lot of other movies. So this is actually a really, really well done film. The cast is also great. I mean, Melissa Sue Anderson does really well as the is she or isn't she killer, and she's kind of cast against type from Little House on the Prairie.
Sure, yeah.
As Melissa Sue Anderson as a killer. Ooh.
Ooh.
So pretty cool. The movie it does kind of suffer. It drags a little bit in the third act as you kind of wait for the birthday party. But it really is a solid slasher. It's got a fun plot, not too bloody. There's some blood, but it's not like over the top gory. It's just more, the killings are more designed to be like clever than bloody. So it's something that I really recommend. It's a great early 80s horror movie. If you like that kind of thing and you think I've seen all the Friday the 13th movies and all that, check out Happy Birthday to Me. It's, it's fun. It's a fun one.
It's like a pre-Final Destination.
Kind of, but it's, you got all your little like different characters in the clique and everything, and they're all their own little stereotypes and all that, but not like over the top stereotypes. It's not like a Revenge of the Nerds thing, or everybody's overacting, but it's good. It is really good, and
Nice.
it's definitely worth checking out. So now to the scores. Internet Movie Database gives Happy Birthday to Me a not so awful 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes, though, gives it an abysmal 18% on its tomato meter or whatever. But it does get a better 42% audience score from Rotten Tomatoes. So they differentiate. If you want to see it, if you want to see Happy Birthday to Me, check it out. You can see it for free on the Tubi or Crackle streaming platforms. It's really best to watch while you're sitting down eating a slice of cake,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, ambiance.
There you go. Exactly. So that's my first pick. Happy birthday to me.
Very good. I like the idea of, the murderer kind of not being at fault for the killing. I mean, because you figure, like, the tie one, whatever. And then, like, the barbell one is, I don't know. Anyways, I'll check it out.
No, but somebody was murdering these people.
Oh, yeah.
But we all think it's Ginny until the very end when you find out otherwise.
Oh.
And how that works
Dun,
out.
dun, dun.
Yeah, even because we've seen her murder people.
Right.
So who is it?
So it's like her partner in crime. She doesn't know. Star-crossed lovers, but we both murder people.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, so I have always been intrigued by, older technology that's still in use today. For example, ice cream churns, right? I love the idea of old ice cream churns where it's just a wooden bucket with a metal cylinder. You put ice around it, and then you make your ice cream, right? I also love things like, old ironing boards and old washing machines. Like, they're bizarre, but they worked. And then you kind of think to yourself, well, what was the thinking behind this technology, and why were someone, prompted to use this instead of, whatever it could have been, a washboard or something of that nature. So my first pick, well, really my only pick, and I've got quite a few honorable mentions here. It might be the goriest, bloodiest movie I have offered on this podcast.
I'm intrigued.
It's also probably the worst rated.
Oh, I'm even more intrigued.
And it also has some of the best horror actors for being one of the worst movies ever.
Ooh, okay. All right.
All right. Came out in 1995.
Oh.
Yeah. This is called The Mangler.
There's a little bit of me in that machine, and a little bit of it in me.
There was an accident today. The worst one I've ever seen.
Have you considered the possibility that the machine might be haunted?
That machine killed your daughter.
We all have to make sacrifices.
Human sacrifices. A demon is a kind of electricity. Sometimes it gets out of control. People get hurt.
3 modern masters of horror have just created the ultimate machine for terror. The Mangler.
The Mangler.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Is this based on a Stephen King?
Short story by
Yeah,
Stephen King.
okay.
In a collection of amongst, I think there was 20 of them. But yes, it's based on this. It was something along a 20-page little story that they turned into a movie in 1995, starring Robert Englund, aka Freddy Krueger. You know, also had Ted Levine in it, who was in, of course, Silence of the Lambs. Exactly. And directed by Toby Hooper, or Hooper, I think it was. Hooper, who, of course, brought us Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Poltergeist, maybe?
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. So, okay, let me get into this. The Mangler it's really based off the design of a much older, let's say like early 19th century washing machine, sort of like press that you would feed clothes through. It would spin and it would squeeze out all the water, right? So then you could just kind of take them out and hang them up. But I guess the idea here is that, you know, it would squeeze it into this tub and it would make things easier. Anyways, but the Mangler in this film is a giant piece of machinery inside of a factory in a small town where, in Maine, of course, it's Stephen King, right? Now, Robert Englund is this creepy, and I mean has the worst makeup prosthetics that you've seen him worse than Freddy Krueger.
Wow.
Worse.
Okay, that's saying something.
Old man, and he is the factory owner. He employs, a bunch of people, whatnot. And he's just creepy. You know that he's like one of the villains just right off the bat because he's creepy. Anyways, the Mangler. So it starts off, people are in this factory. They are feeding clothes through this giant, washing board kind of machine, and it just, people are tending to get hurt. Now he also employs his niece Sherry. She's a teenager, which is there's an odd point about that, but I'll get to that later. She's a teenager, and she ends up getting distracted or getting her arm cut on this old ice box that these workers are moving, and she bleeds into the machine, and then all of a sudden the machine comes to life. Right now, they bring in the grisly old, almost retired detective cop officer guy who's a widow, the stereotype, the trope, and this is like his last big thing, and he's gonna give it his all because he's one of those guys, but also just like his exterior just says that he doesn't believe in anything. Well, he's a widower. His brother-in-law Mark is again, another trope, but a creepy, nerdy guy who's into the occult, and says to him, well, of course the machine must be haunted, or it must be, possessed by some demon. And as they're trying to kind of come to terms with this, more and more people are getting sucked into this Mangler flattening press machine. At one point, there's an old lady, and she's eating antacids for something, and then all of a sudden she gets caught in the machine. I don't remember how, but she goes in arm first, and the creepiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life is a point of view from inside of the Mangler, cut like in half, and you see it crushing her arm. And it literally breaks apart like a Kit Kat bar or something. It is the grossest thing I've ever seen. But of course they're pulling her, and at that point I kind of want to be like, what kind of life is she gonna have? She's already been like half chewed up. But whatever. So they're trying to get her out of it, and basically the machine just keeps swallowing people, right? So I'm sorry, this gore factor is easily an 8.5, 9 out of 10. There's so much blood, and not just like, movie blood. Some of it looks like chocolate syrup, I'm not gonna lie, but like a lot of it really is very realistic, and it's very uncomfortable the way that people are dying, because they're essentially being crushed to death, right, through this Mangler, but also at the same time, like, they're being pulled, and it's like a really old school Renaissance like rack. Ugh. It's like, ugh. Anyways,
like a taffy puller.
Yeah. So yes, exactly. So all right. So the brother-in-law Mark says, all right, he must be possessed. We're gonna perform an exorcism on a machine.
Sure.
They perform said exorcism, and they think all is well, right? Something comes into play where the gruff officer is now like, oh, I need an antacid because I'm having some whatever. And he eats one, and they realize that there's a connection between those ones and the ones the old lady was eating in the beginning of the film. And they think, oh, okay, well, the Mangler's actually still alive, and the thing comes to life, and arms start sprouting out, and it's now movable, and it's the weird. Oh, and it tears the limbs and the legs off of Mark, and the poor guy dies in a not so fun way.
Wow.
But you remember Sherry I mentioned, right? Well, turns out that Robert Englund's character knew it was possessed the whole time. And he, along with other previous generations of wealthy town benefactors, made a deal with the demon that they would sacrifice or offer up a virginal, it's always a virginal woman to the machine in exchange for wealth and power. It's not exactly explained how, because keep in mind, this is a giant metal tractor. But anyways, so in the process of this trying to happen, the cop kind of has feelings for her. Keep in mind, she's like 16, creepy. Robert Englund meets a very messy end, and they think all is well. And they say, well, it only possesses people because it takes a piece of them. It takes physically a piece. So Sherry gave it its blood, her blood, and then the old lady gave it, well, her everything. And so basically at the end, the machine is I guess free of the demon, right? They've ended this whole deal with him because Robert Englund's character's dead, whatever. And then the officer is bringing flowers to Sherry, who, by the way, now has just seamlessly slipped into her uncle's position. She's a very wealthy woman now. She's like well respected, and she has all this fame and power and stuff, right? And you're like, that's weird, right? So he's coming to bring her flowers, and then she like rebuffs him, or her turns around, and he recognizes that she's missing like a finger or something, and he's like, oh my god, the demon's still alive, and she must have made a deal with the demon. So the last couple of scenes are him like throwing these really awkwardly placed flowers down and running away. And the only thought, of course, I had in my mind was like, guys, she's 16, that's creepy. But anyways, it's about a giant washing machine that comes to life and squishes people to death.
That's all
until,
you need.
Of course, it grows legs and then chops them off people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This film is there's so much to it. It's very bloody. I'm just gonna put that out there. Trigger warning. It is bloody, but it did not do so well with the scores.
No, I mean I have not seen The Mangler, but I have heard stories about how bad it is.
Well, here's the thing. There are movies that are so bad that they're good, and we love those.
Oh yes,
yes. But I don't think this falls into this category. I think it does a disservice for Stephen King. But it also has a cult classic vibe. Like, Robert Englund, I honestly can't disassociate him from Freddy Krueger, right? But also he lends this air of authenticity to it, so you're automatically drawn in, but like, all right, these are great characters, it's going to be good. So it feels kind of disappointing in like a wasted opportunity way. But I still think you should watch it if you like gory movies, because this is bloody. Okay, so to the scores. IMDb gives it a very dismal 4.3 out of 10. Ugh. Not very good. Metacritic gives it an 8. Just a singular 8. And the Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 27%. And believe it or not, this one, unlike yours, has a lower audience score.
Wow.
At an 18%. So It overall didn't hit any awards, right? It has been featured on science fiction theater and other people who like cult films such as that. But yeah, anyways, you can watch it right now on the only place that I was able to find it, which is Apple TV. You can rent it for $2.99 or you can buy it. But I would say to you, if you happen to be streaming on the YouTubes, you might be able to find a version as of this recording that still includes old commercials. Well, not commercials, but like advertisements from the 80s.
Oh, cool.
Or early 90s, because it's basically the same thing. But yeah, that's my pick. That's my my very bloody pick. A giant washing machine comes to life and kills you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, this is what happens when you try to stretch a 20-page story into a full-length feature.
This, I can't believe Stephen King. I mean, you got to figure what came after that. Like, Misery. I mean...
Yeah, but he has said more than once that, once someone buys the rights to make a movie from his stories, he's got nothing.
Yeah, he washes his hands of
He's
it.
like, unless he's writing the screenplay or whatever, then he's got nothing to do with it.
This is true. I just don't know what... I mean, he's kind of one of these authors, I think, that just... They say, go. Take creative freedom however you want with the thing that I have produced.
Yeah.
I don't want anything associating with myself with it. But
most of the time, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but, and that has mixed results.
It does, yeah.
So.
But, I mean, this is not Misery level. This is not Pet Cemetery level.
No.
This is not Cujo level.
Oh, Cujo.
So, yeah, that's
poor
my...
dog.
Yeah. That's my only pick. I think you should check it out. And, yeah, be prepared. It's bloody. It's gross.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks.
It's funny because that is one of the gaps that for me, because I've never seen it.
Well, I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Because honestly, it involves like the director who we talked about, basically films we've already watched, and Robert Englund. I mean, he's just. I mean, I honestly can't think. He was in the new Stranger Things, young kids.
Yeah.
He was the old guy who cut his eyeballs out.
Yeah, influenced by Vecna.
Yeah. So if you're wondering who we're talking about, that's who we're talking about.
That's
Gave
him.
a brilliant performance in that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Freddy Krueger, but
Yeah, Freddy
iconic.
Krueger. Iconic,
Yeah.
exactly. That's why the kids always have Halloween costumes. 4-year-olds walk around with Freddy Krueger slasher fingers.
Yeah, which I don't understand.
Because
he was a child killer.
Yeah.
So that's ironic in a weird way.
That's true, but people are also falling in love with Jeffrey Dahmer from Netflix.
No. Not going to watch it. Heard too many bad things.
Yeah. Not my
interested.
scene.
Nope.
Not
Nope.
Not my dish, as it were.
I just got depressed enough by watching the documentary about the Las Vegas shooting.
I have not watched that.
It's good, but it's depressing.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyways, I'll have some honorable mentions later, but why don't you give me your second pick?
All right, then. So my second pick revolves around an object that can be found in one form or another in almost every dwelling.
Let's see.
It's something we humans spend a great deal of time using. In fact, the average person spends 26 years of their life on one.
A mirror? Toilet?
Not the toilet.
A sink?
Nope.
A couch?
Close.
A recliner?
Farther away.
A chaise? Couldn't tell you.
I am referring to a bed.
Oh.
Yes. So, you got bunk beds, you got water beds, air beds, Murphy beds, flower bed. Oh, no, I didn't have that get in the script. Anyway, my second pick is the 1977 surrealistic horror movie Deathbed, the bed that eats. Yes, you heard right. A bed that eats.
Oh, man.
People. Now, before you throw all those Mattress Firm conspiracy theories at me.
They're never busy.
Oh, I know. So, this doesn't have anything to do with Mattress Firm.
Okay.
All right. So, Deathbed is an odd one, to be sure. But even weirder is the long, strange trip it took to even be seen by the public. The film was written, produced, and directed by a man named George Barry. He started shooting it in 1972, didn't finish it until 1977, and then nothing happened.
Oh.
No one would release it. Not in theaters, not on VHS, nothing. One video company in the UK saw a print of the film and offered to release it on video cassette if George would pony up $3,000 to add credits to the film. He couldn't afford it, and that was that.
Wow.
However, not long after, a small British video label released a bootleg of Deathbed on VHS. This led to other bootleg releases around the world. Meanwhile, George Barry was just living his life completely unaware that anyone had seen his movie other than who he showed it to.
Right.
That changed in 2001 when George stumbled upon an internet movie forum discussing his movie.
Nice.
And he was like, what? How did you see this? No one has seen this movie. So one thing led to another, and in 2003, Deathbed got its first ever theatrical screening at a film festival in San Francisco, and then subsequently had a DVD release and then a Blu-ray release.
How surreal.
So I know dreams can come true, I guess, when you're not paying attention. So what is Deathbed about? Well, it's perhaps best explained by comedian and nerd king Patton Oswalt, who in one of his routines describes deathbed.
It's hard, man. I'm trying to write movies, and it's fucking impossible. What really made it hard recently, 2 months ago, a movie just got released on DVD. It was made in 1977. They never released it, ever. It wasn't even in the movie theaters. And they just now put it on DVD. It's called Deathbed, the Bed That Eats People. Go IMDb this. It's called Deathbed, the Bed That Eats People. And it's about a bed that's evil and it eats people. That's the whole movie. And the backstory is it starts in the 1500s, and there's a demon, and the guy kills the demon with a sword, and the demon's blood gets on the bed. Now the bed's evil, and you fast forward to present day, 77, when people on the bed kills them. That's the whole goddamn movie. This guy wrote Deathbed, the Bed That Eats People. He took it to another guy and said, okay, it's called Deathbed, the Bed That Eats People. Now, the backstory is there's a demon in the 1500s, and the guy kills it, and the second guy said, stop drilling, you hit oil. You had me at deathbed. We are going to rent cameras, buy film stock, hire a crew. We're going to shoot this masterpiece.
Yeah, so I know, right? So, oh, by the way, Patton did get the title a little bit wrong. It's Deathbed, the Bed That Eats, not the Bed That Eats People. But anyway.
Yeah, the connotation's there.
So, yeah, it's about an evil bed that eats anyone who gets too sleepy and decides to take a nap permanently. The movie is broken up into chapters, or actually courses. Each segment of the film, which is basically a different story about people who, die on the bed, what have you. So these sort of individual segments are titled breakfast, lunch, dinner, and just desserts. So each course of the movie is just a new set of victims, right?
Right, okay.
Now, that's kind of cool in its own way. It's very interesting, but it's weird. It's a weirdly shot, very surrealistic movie. Not very scary, but it makes up for it for being really interesting.
Oh.
And it's also very, very polarizing, too, because people, and I've read a bunch of reviews of this, they either love the odd visual style or think it's one of the worst movies ever made. And it might actually be both at the same time.
Fair.
So it took me a few tries to get through Deathbed, the Bed That Eats.
Right.
But I have to give this guy, George Barry, credit. He wanted to make this movie. He made this movie. He thought it was going to be forever lost. And then something amazing happened, and people found it and started talking about it. And voila, years later, it's actually got a release. And I just think that's a great story in and of itself. But even if it were just a bad movie, if it were just a piece of crap, I don't think this would have happened, because somebody would have saw it and said, "Nah, whatever. It's awful."
Right.
So for me, I have to give it points because of the audacity that this director had to make a film that he wanted, to do it the way that he wanted, and to sort of stick to his guns. And years later, it paid off,
right?
Which I think is great. But it is definitely not for everybody. I think some people will have a difficult time getting through it, and that's okay. But if you're up for it, I think it's worth a look, because it is really interesting, and it's unspoiled. It hasn't been, impacted by any studio. It hasn't been fiddled with. This is what this guy wanted to do.
Right.
So anyway,
how many movies can you say that about?
I know,
really?
exactly. I just love it. I love the story. So let's get to the scores. Deathbed, the Bed That Eats, gets short-sheeted with a 4.3 out of 10 on the Internet Movie Database, and a pretty putrid 30% score on the Rotten Tomatoes. But like I said, that belies what I think is what's more interesting about this movie. Is that the director got it made, he did it his way, and ultimately was rewarded for his efforts, even though it was decades later.
There are some people that are still weird that are out there.
Exactly. God bless them. There you go.
Good for him.
If you want to curl up with a nice warm blanket and watch Deathbed, you can rent it on Prime Video for a ridiculous $4. No. Or, as of this recording, it is free to watch in its entirety on YouTube. So, ultimately, it won't give you nightmares, but it won't put you to sleep either.
Ooh.
There you go. All right.
Good
so that was
pick.
my second pick. Thank you.
Good pick. I've got a couple of honorable mentions. You know, you mentioned our first episode, which is funny because we'll never release that again.
No, unless you pay money.
Yeah. But my pick for that first, I don't know if you remember, but I chose Killer Tomato.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. These honorable mentions aren't about movies that have household items, but they have these iconic scenes. And one of them is the tomato, the killer tomato, inside of a garbage disposal. And I don't know what they use for special effects, but you have to watch it, is all I'm going to say. It is hilarious and terrifying.
Yeah, I know the one.
And then I think this might be one of my top 3 movies of all time.
Ooh.
Of all time. And I don't count, like, Lord of the Rings trilogies, even though it's, like, you know, whatever. But I mean, like, movies. Gremlins.
Gremlins.
So you remember Blender, which is one of what they call the first batch.
Right.
The first movie where, you know, the friend spills water on Gizmo and then things pop out of his back. And, well, one of those, quote, gremlins is Blender, because Blender decides to take a little, like, snooze in a blender, actually, and the mom, who freaks out beyond comprehension, decides that she's going to reach around the corner in the kitchen and just press a couple of buttons on this ancient antique blender, and he goes spinning, and honestly, it was really gross.
Yeah.
It was like gremlin guts everywhere, but I think that's an iconic scene.
It is.
I love that movie. You can never say anything bad about Gremlins to me.
No, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
It's also, I consider it a great Christmas movie.
You know, I would say Christmas movie too, because it starts at Christmas time. There's, of course, you know, in the beginning, they see the movie theater and what's playing. So, yeah, Gremlins is a fantastic movie.
Cool.
Maybe not the second one.
I like the second
I
one.
do, but it's not as great as the first one.
No, it can't be. So.
No. But, yeah, those are my 2 picks. I think that if you're going to watch any of them, watch Gremlins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, thank you.
So I have only one honorable mention, and only one, because I really want to recommend this.
Okay.
But I couldn't fit it as a regular pick because the film is in Japanese and there are no clips or trailers I can play from it.
Fair.
So, you know. But it actually kind of, as you were describing The Mangler, made me think of it. So this is a 1989 film. It is completely bonkers. It's a horror monster comedy called Battle Heater. So the monster in this is, in fact, a space heater.
Oh, nice.
Oh, it's a space heater.
Nice.
A possessed space heater. Yeah. So this little evil appliance has kind of a similar journey to that of, like, Audrey 2 and Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, Audrey 2.
It gets bigger and more powerful, grows teeth, has a mouth and tentacles, which are like cables, like electric cables, and so on. This is about as insane a visual experience as you can possibly have. And it is all done, just tongue-in-cheek. Mm-hmm. I mean, the characters are all very goofy, but it is so inventive to have an evil space heater killing people. I can honestly say I've never seen anything quite like it. I cannot recommend it enough if you're into that kind of weirdness.
Well, I think you would agree by saying, if I said that Japanese horror is its own thing.
It is. It really is. Some of it is so inventive and insane.
Insane.
And what I love about, like, it's like a lot of, like, cinema from Asia, you know, whether it's, from China, Hong Kong, Japan, South Korea. Yep. Is that you can put virtually any premise in front of an audience there, and they will buy into it.
Yes.
American audiences are very cynical.
Yes. Well, it takes a lot to break into the atmosphere of American audiences, but that goes for, like, music too, and anything like that. But you got to figure, who is the Xi Jinping, I think, is the leader, perhaps. there was this whole direction back in the 80s to take the South Korean people and the area into modernity, right?
Yeah.
So then, that's why we get so many K-dramas and like K-pop stars, and
Yeah, it's so popular.
it saturates the market because it's just so applicable.
Yeah.
Anybody would like it, So, but especially their horror stuff. I mean, you've seen Squid Games, obviously.
Oh yeah.
That was deserving of every single Emmy.
Mm-hmm.
Emmy.
And enemy.
And enemy, no, but Emmy that it won. I can't wait for season 2.
And if this is what what we can expect from in the future, we're gonna have a lot of fun content.
How can you beat that?
I don't know, but it's gonna be pretty awesome.
Yes.
So, all right, well,
that's first
week one.
episode. Week one of Halloween Horror Month,
and episode 1 of season 5,
and episode 142 of the entire series.
Wow, who'd have thought?
Who'd have thought? We're still so old.
I know. Me especially.
I want to thank everybody who has made it this far and who's listened to our podcast. And, we talk about this sort of month and this time of the year all the time, and we know that we're very excited. So we want to thank you for being so patient and waiting for all of our episodes to come up. If you, however, you get that hankering, as it were, to listen to our podcast.
Hankering.
And you need to fill that special void, well, head over to the deepdivepodcast.com where you will find an entire list, minus episode 1, of our podcast. That includes all of our previous Halloween Horror Months, especially last year where we had a special 5-week exploration of horror themes. You'll find our merch stand, and luckily you'll find links to all of our social medias there. Instagram,
Twitter,
Tweetbook, Fitter.
Twatness.
I don't know.
A word?
Listen, you want to contact us, go through Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, or you can email us at thedeepdivepodcast@gmail.com. We literally love hearing from you, and we would love to hear from more of you.
Yes.
Send us in suggestions, send us in your thoughts. Feel free to rate us on Apple, iPod, or iTunes, on Apple Podcasts.
iPod?
Wow. I love my iPod. My iPod's still going. But
really?
Oh, yes. On Apple Podcasts, you can give us a rating. That 5-star rating that helps us reach more people. And right now, if you search the Deep Dive Podcast, I think we're like number 4 that show up.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Because we're sticking with it.
Heck yeah. You can't get rid of us. But anyways, thank you for listening, and what's coming up next week?
Oh, next week. Oh, it's all about those freaky flop houses, those risky resorts, those lethal lodgings. That's right.
Ooh.
Hotels of horror. We're not talking about the Motel 666 or the Scariot. We're talking full-on frightening hotels here. Whatever you do, don't look inside the minibar.
And don't pay for internet.
That's right. And if you are going to use internet, use it in your room, not in the lobby, because the room is safer.
Yeah.
All right. So, for Amanda, I'm Tom Feeney. Don't forget to tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your local mad scientist. And we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
All clips used in the Deep Dive podcast are meant for educational purposes only and not to infringe on existing copyrights.
The Deep Dive Podcast is a production of Automaton Studios.
Before you uses any aerosol sprays, always reads the directions voice. Don't ever poke a hole in a can you think's is empty, cause it can explode. Spray cans are okay if used the right way, says Popeye the Sailor Man.